think managing your own expectations.
Mm,
We all want to manage our customers' expectations, but we forget about us. Well, when I get into a business, I know there's going to be a lot of hurdles. I know there's going to be an issue. So when those issues do come, you remember, oh yeah, that's what I expected. Instead of getting frustrated, stressed out about it, you work through it because it has to happen. There's going to be frustrations. There's going to be things that don't go right, and
mm.
for the rest of your life, there's going to be things that don't go right. So if you can expect the unexpected, you probably can handle those a little better.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of the Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7 and 8 figure businesses, as well as the CEO and founder of Miller IP Law, where we help startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. And if you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com and we're always here to help. Now, today we have another great guest on the episode, and Brian Fleck. And to give you a bit of a background on Brian, so at age 7, he started selling lemonade. And he decided that he hated high school and just wanted to get a diploma and wanted out. Graduated from high school and he was out, but he didn't necessarily know what he wanted to do. So he did a few service jobs, did a startup for grocery delivery. That was, I think, a bit before its time. Painted houses, did a bit of odd jobs. I think did a few different waiter jobs at different restaurants. Also, I think got into poker and gambling a little bit, if I remember right.
Mhm.
But then wasn't or said he wasn't good at money or managing money. He could make money, but wasn't necessarily good at managing money when he was doing poker and whatnot. And then started a industrial supply career. And then kind of jumped around, did that for a period of time, and I think continues to do it. And also wanted or got into trucking a bit. And so with all of that, pivoted or continues to do some of that, but also really got into weights, which is weight plates and weight building and making some of those supplies and doing that. And he'll discuss a little bit more of what that is and what they do when or along his journey. But with that much as an introduction, welcome onto the podcast, Brian.
Thank you, Devin. I appreciate it.
So I gave the very fast, quick run through of everything of your journey, and I'm sure didn't do it near the amount of justice. So let's go back a little bit in time. So you started selling lemonade at 7 years old, and pick it up from there.
Yeah, I mean, basically, thank you again for having me. By the way, I do appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this. Just kind of detouring from packing boxes to now a podcast to going back to pick up product to go pack it up again. So, anyway, so basically, let's see, 7 years old. I don't know if I can remember before that, but I've always kind of had this entrepreneurial spirit that I wanted to do something for myself. I saw
Mm,
people work their butts off in corporations or in other jobs, and then get to a certain point, you get 60, 65, they retire, but I didn't seem like there was any, you just worked so hard to get basically nothing at the end of it. A good retirement fund. And things have
mm,
changed since, 30 years ago. Now it's really got to take care of yourself more and more. So I decided back then, I was like, I can't rely on anybody.
mm,
So I sold lemonade for fun. And there was a subdivision that I grew up in that was a newer subdivision. So they were building houses.
mm,
And I would go to the contractors, to the workers, and sell lemonade to them. And I remember one specific scenario where I was selling them, I think, for a quarter of drink, just for lemonade.
mm.
And I had a bucket. I drove on a wagon. I went to this one house that was being built, and the guy literally tried to swindle a little kid. I don't know why, but he did. He said, "Hey, I'll give you $1 for everything you got in that bucket." And I was like, "Okay." I had this much left. That's fine with me. So I gave him that, and I was like, "Thank you. Have a good day." So he basically paid $1 for a 25-cent glass, and I was like, You gave me the opportunity, so I gave it to you." But at the end of the day, the customer was always, want to take care of them
Mm,
as much as you could. But start with lemonade, and then I got a little older. I don't know, a little older. I'd say 10 years old. I
mm,
decided we lived by a forest, and me and my buddy said we should dig up the trees and put them in buckets and sell them and start a nursery. And well, let's just say that didn't last very long because we don't know what they were doing, but we tried, and we dug up some trees, which was probably not good for the environment, and I feel bad about it. But we tried to put them back. I'm sure they grew or something happened to them. But
or they
that
died, but either way, at some point, something happened to him.
yeah, something happened. So it worked for the foliage. It went in the ground. It's all good.
Mm,
So
that's right.
um But
So now
yeah,
maybe fast forward. So then you do those things, and I love that, and I wish I'd honestly. So I was an entrepreneur as a kid, and probably did. I tried some of those. Not a lemonade stand. I think it was a snow cone station.
okay.
We were on the bad location, busy street. Nobody ever stopped, so I never went anywhere. But I always had those little ideas. But I always think it's cool when people are as a younger age. One is if you take initiative, and then two, saying, hey, I'm going to figure out if I need money or I need to do something, I'm going to figure out to do it rather than rely on parents or other things. So I always think that's
Yeah.
cool and try and always inspire my kids to do the same. But so now you kind of fast forward a bit till high school, and you kind of were wanted to get out of high school, get the degree, get out, and move on with your life. So maybe jump to a little bit about that and tell us how that went.
Yeah, yeah. And first of all, lemonade, you don't have to pay taxes on it, so that's good. That's the best part about it. But so high school, to be transparent, I absolutely hated school. I hated high school because they had an agenda and what their curricula had to be. And I was like, I don't like this. I want to be able to do what I want. So basically I got D's and C's and the whole way through school. I know my senior year, I missed 36 days of school because I just didn't want to be there. And I knew if I missed one more, I couldn't graduate. So of course I did what I needed to do to graduate so I get out, or else I'd have more misery that I thought was. But what I learned from that experience is kind of a sales aspect of it, because I was never a bad kid or anything. I just didn't want to be in school. So I learned if I just told the teachers or if I told the dean and what they wanted to hear or what I needed to do and just was transparent, say, hey, I don't want to be here. I'll do what you need me to do, but I'm not going to do any more. Sounds really bad. But they got to the point where like, Brian's a good kid. Just let him get out of here. Be done. So, and I kind of knew what I was doing anyways. I was going to go to try to get associate's degree. And I figured if I get a D, C, A, B, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to the next step. There's no use in putting in more work for this aspect, which it's complete 180 now that I'm here in the work life. It's like I'm doing more work than I ever imagined. So just kind of a little later. But yeah, I mean, high school, I was able to talk my way into like the honors classes for like econ and some of the history classes, because you had to have a certain GPA to do that. But I just said, hey, I just want to be here. And they said, okay, come on in. I would get A's in that class because that's what I wanted to do. But like math, I was like, I don't want to do it. So I'm going to get a D, get out. There's a lot of arguments, of course, with the parents, with the teachers, and just saying, I don't want to be here. Leave me alone. But yeah, so I got out of high school finally.
So now you said, okay, you beat the system, or you stuck to the system, you got out of high school, you said, okay, now what am I going to do? And so how did you it sounds like you kind of ping ponged around a bit or tried a few things out or wasn't quite sure. So how did that kind of, you got out of high school, you decided that wasn't what you wanted to do. How did you figure out what you wanted to do?
I still don't know what I want to do, but I mean, I don't think I ever want to know what I want to do. Let's put it that way. But
where did you,
after high school,
I'll rephrase my question. That's a fair answer. Where did you start out? So you graduate and you said, okay, I've got to do something, or I've got to, make an income or start to, do something with my life, so to speak. So how did you kind of figure out what was the next step?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I was kind of living, at my parents' house, and I did we had a person down the road who did contractor. They were a contractor. So they hired me on just as a laborer with residential houses, and went in some nice houses in Barrington, which is a nice, very affluent area that has like all the, I want to say the representatives in Illinois to live over there. So I got to see some of their nice houses. But so I was there for 6-7 months, and then I went into serving a restaurant. It just was basically, to me, easy money, but it taught me a lot of customer service and how to deal with the public. I mean, I've been in numerous restaurants, and it's just a sales job, in my opinion. But people come to you, you have to find them, and then you take care of them. And they give you money. I was like, I just gave you food that they made, and I walked it over, and you gave me money. Okay, cool. So I enjoyed that a lot. I got to learn a lot, meet a lot of people. So I did that for a while, and then I tried to do that weird odd job thing that you were talking about in regards to like helping, seniors grocery shop, or well, that's just back when I was 21, 22. So about 15 years ago or so, 14 to 15 years.
So is that really beyond, other than when you were younger and you did the lemonade stand and then the trees that didn't work out, is that kind of the first foray back into entrepreneurship of kind of trying to do your own thing and start it up? And, even if it failed, it was a good learning experience, or how did it go?
Yeah. I mean, I played poker throughout that. Even my high school, I was going to play poker, and probably shouldn't have been places where I was at, but I was. It was always in interesting environments, but I would make money off of that too. I remember going to after poker, and I was like 16 years old. I went to like a high school party, and somebody broke into my car and stole my radar detector for speeding, like so I could catch
Mm.
speeders. But they didn't steal the money that I won, was $700 a tournament like 2 hours before that in the middle of the council. So I was like, whatever, take it. So I won a lot of tournaments in that. That's how
Mm.
I kind of supported myself too during high school, not having to
Mm.
ask for money. So, but that was probably my first, yeah, getting back in the odd job thing. That's probably my first kind of back at the entrepreneurial aspect, because
Mm.
I wanted to do it. So I tried it. I didn't know anything about business. I knew nothing really. I knew
Mm.
I needed to make money, but do I know anything else? Do I have to write a contract for these people? Do I have to have some kind of receipt? Do I have to pay taxes on this? I don't know. I'm just want to go do something.
Mm.
I learned that the hard way. Uh,
Mm.
there was a job that the guy didn't fill out a contract for him. I went in there and tried to do the painting for his house he wanted, and then he kept adding things on and
Mm.
paying me the same amount. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. But I didn't have a contract to prove this is what I'm doing.
Mm.
So lesson learned hard way. I think I was a little bit ahead of my time when it comes to trying to get people to bring food to them, go to the
Mm.
grocery shopping. It's almost like an Angie List or an Uber or a what was
Yeah,
that
like
other?
an Uber Eats type of a thing, or the grocery kind of pickup type of a thing. So,
Yeah,
so
but
now you did that. You kind of in and out. You're doing poker. Doing a few entrepreneur things, and then kind of circling back. You said poker. I think you mentioned you got out because you could make money at it, but you weren't a good money manager. Is that right, or is that?
no, I did online poker a lot too, and I
Mm.
remember winning some big pots, but I never kept the money. Let's put it that way. It was the bankroll management was not good. I read a lot of books on it to do better at that, but I enjoyed it more than I actually wanted to make money off it, which is a
Mm.
sad part. Um, but I still did that in between everything. Still did all the online, and then they kind of got rid of the big online poker platforms in Illinois, at least,
Mm.
and I was not able to do the same kind of poker that I used to. So
Mm.
stepped out of it a little bit and went and kind of got a corporate job finally. I decided I'm going to go industrial supplies. Look, this is easy. If I
Mm.
want to go farther, I need to get some experience.
So,
So
so you said, okay, finally you're going to go work for the man, so to speak, or work for industrial supplies, work for a bigger company. And you did that for, and I think you're still doing that. Is that right?
working for the man? No, I'm not. Well, working for me, but I'm still working for somebody, all the customers per se. But no, I got out of working for a corporation back in right before COVID in 2019,
Okay,
late,
perfect.
late
For some
November.
reason I was thinking that you were doing medical supply sales as well. Is that,
I
but
am, but that's
oh,
my
oh,
thing.
gotcha. That was where my wires got crossed. My apologies. So
That's
you did
okay.
that for a period of time, and you said, okay, I'm gonna go work for the or bigger business. Get that experience. What was the reason that you decided to, was that a good experience, or was it kind of pushing against the grain of, hey, I'm really just like to do my own thing, kind of like high school. I don't want to do the things that I don't have control over. Kind of what was that, and what made you kind of transition out and kind of lead you up to where you're at today?
Yeah, so I mean, definitely push it against the grain. Like nobody listens to you, to me per se.
Mm.
You think you have these good ideas, but they're like, no, that's how we do it. Deal with it. Okay. I mean, what do you hire me for if we can't innovate? It doesn't make sense.
Mm.
So, but I worked at Fastenal for a year, and I learned a lot about because I ran a whole branch technically by
Mm.
myself. We had a general manager, but he never showed up. He was just kind of back and forth anytime he wanted to. So I had to do everything by myself. So I
Mm.
learned a lot about invoicing, collections, talking to vendors, shipping, receiving, what our cost is, how to put the margins in, all the stuff that goes into business. So
Mm.
um, luckily, that was a huge stepping stone to my next step, where I went into another industrial supply company called
Mm.
RSU's. And they're very old school. I actually loved it there, but their money wasn't what I wanted. I
Mm.
tried to, after about 4 years, I asked for more money because I was like, my sales are good, but I'm getting paid much more.
Mm.
So uh ended up going to another smaller company. They paid me more, didn't last long. Then I got into industrial compressors, so a more engineered technical sale. Learned a
Mm.
lot. But was there for about a year and a half, and then I got again trying to step up in the corporate world. I got kind of dragged away from another corporation that did compressors too, and they offered me a pretty penny. So I was like, okay, I'll go this way. Turns out that was not worth it. But that way, it didn't matter how much they paid me. I hated that place.
Mm.
They were, yeah, they don't get details, of course, but it's part of my journey. But along that journey, to put
Mm.
into perspective, my mother had a company called K-Trox. and she still
Mm,
does. That's what I'm
mm,
kind of on the side as that as well.
mm,
So for about 7 years during that all industrial supplies, the compressor thing, I was on the side kind of building that up so I could just jump into that. So I'd
mm,
build up relationships with vendors and kind of get them on board with K-Trucks and try to put some customers on the side, so that I have something to step on when I
mm.
left the corporation. So 2019 November, I was going to quit my job. Where I was but I wanted to wait because I had the top sales that they had. So I was waiting for that commission check, like one more thing. They
It's
fired me
always a
before.
good time. You always want to wait till you get past the commission check or past the end of the year bonus before you make that exit, right?
You would think so. But we had, I mean, it was going to be a good amount of money, but me and the VP of the company didn't get along.
Mm.
Uh, and then basically, right before I was going to quit, they fired me before they invoiced anything out. So I was like, all right, this is silly. What did I do all this work and work 15 hours a day for when you just get rid of me after I finally get something going, even though I was quitting anyways? But
Mm.
that's a different story. Don't tell them that. They know now. But it
So now,
that's when I really got
and so
into it.
that was 2019 that you kind of jumped over, started doing your own thing, and left the corporate. Was it 19 or 20? Sorry, I couldn't
It was
remember.
2019. So November, they fired me on my birthday, November 5th, 2019.
Mm,
Um, so I was grateful, though I was like kind of relieved, but also like, because now, okay, well, I get unemployment, I guess, but it's not really worth anything.
mm,
When you really put it down, you're like, I can get it, but it doesn't pay any bills that I was used to.
mm.
So
So now
2019
you
November.
get you get let go, butt heads with the VP. You said, okay, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not going to go back to working for someone else. And so you kind of started to work with the family business, work or run that, or to participate in that. And then you also started your own business, or along that way, you started the business you're doing now, which is also with the weights. Is that right?
Yeah, so that came out of, I want to say, like serendipity, in my opinion. I mean, I hate to say COVID was horrible and is horrible, but it's
Mm,
helped a lot of people too. And some, if there's always opportunities and tragedies.
mm.
But with
I'd
when
always
I,
say, I always put it different. I think there's opportunities in change, whether that's good change,
yeah,
bad change. Whenever there's a change in the marketplace that forces people to adjust, or reanalyze, or do something different, it creates opportunities. And so I
yeah,
think that COVID certainly created a big change in the marketplace and daily lives, which then creates opportunities where you can say, how do we now address those changes?
that sounds a lot better than I said it. Yeah, put it that way. So 2019 November, that's when I went on my own to K-Trox, which is the family business, just me and my mother basically. But I've grown it to a point that we were able to get a lot of distributors like the 3Ms of the world, those kind of people that,
Mm,
big names that we just go into manufacturing plants or industrial plants and try to improve on their process. But ultimately, that's a value added service, and we make money off distribution.
mm,
We sell them. They need tape if they need and safety supplies or production supplies, cutting tools. We go and work on that and get the right thing for them.
mm,
But let's just fast forward maybe 3-4 months to COVID when that actually hit, like what is it, late March or so. We I was making a presence on LinkedIn before that, which I'm glad I did, or else I would have had a uphill battle because you couldn't go
mm.
visit anybody.
Yeah.
Um, March hit, COVID hit. Luckily, I'm in safety supplies and we do a lot of that, so I had a lot of connections. But it was a lot of late nights because I figured, okay, I got to talk to China all the time now. So
Mm,
I'm up all through the hours and trying to supply people with 3-ply mask or anything they need, which I figured we're going to get some more customers here long term, but customers just think they need it now. They don't think about long term, and they
mm.
forget about you after you took care of them. So, and that's could be my fault too, but because I didn't follow up with them afterwards all the time because I get so busy. I'm only one person. So
Mm. So
then
now,
April.
give me an idea. So you're doing that. You're saying, okay, COVID hits. We got to pivot. We got to adjust. And looks there's a presents the potential for an opportunity to pivot and expand the business. Now, because you also do the weight plate business, right? Where
Yep.
you're working on making it so you can have thinner weights to allow people to bench press more. How did you get into that side of the business, or get that idea for a startup and kind of or get into there?
Yeah, so that was going to be the next statement. In April, I actually work with a manufacturing association that has 800 plus manufacturers locally here in Chicago.
Mm,
And I was like, I want some weights for myself. I can't go to the gym. I can't do anything. I'm sure
Mm,
they can make something. They're manufacturers. They make anything they want. So I reached out to the organization. They contacted pretty much 800 of them, and then whoever wanted to talk with me did.
mm,
And next thing I know, guy says, "Yeah, we can cut it in a circle and make you a plate. Here you go." Okay, cool. So I got it. It weighs exactly the same. It sounds awesome.
mm.
Why is my phone going off? Sorry, Google's telling me. I thought I said something about Google, but it was listening to me. Um,
Hey,
so
everybody, Big Brother's always listening.
that's okay. I need a big brother once in a while. So uh, I made some plates for myself. And then I figured, oh, maybe I could make a couple more and maybe sell them on Facebook to help some people out because I know there's a huge shortage of weights right now and I can help some
Mm,
people. Well, so I put on Facebook, started after about a month, it started getting popular. People wanted them more. So I
mm,
started increasing inventory. And then I said, well, make a website. Let's make it easier from the order. Then I started figuring out different coding processes. That start,
mm,
what are these weights good for? I mean, they're great. I can see that, but what are they really? What is their value into that market?
mm,
So found out being so thin because they're made of solid steel, accurate. If it's 45 pounds, it's 45 pounds. It's
mm,
not like 44.3, 48.2. It's nothing like that, like cast iron plates are. So
mm,
I started gearing my audience to power lifters because they can get a lot more on that bar when there's only
mm.
such limited amount of space. And people have been liking them. We just kind of adjusted some coatings and we're just continuing to adapt as it going. And last year, without with only me marketing, really, there's no other marketing I had. We
Mm.
did $164,000 in sales, which
That's awesome.
it's we don't make any money off it yet, but we did the sales. That counts for anything. It means there's an audience, so that's good.
No, it proves the concept, proves the audience. It gives you a foundation to start building things off of and then expanding it. So I think that's
Yeah.
cool. And that's a lot of times when you're getting going on a startup or a small business. Your first thing is to figure out the product. The next thing is to figure out if there's a demand or an audience, and then figure out how to scale it and make it profitable and make it worthwhile to pursue. So it sounds like you're well on your journey to that. Well, when you
Yeah.
look at now between, so you're kind of doing the family business, you're also doing the weights business. Now looking kind of out to the 6 to 12 months kind of time frame, where do you see things heading, or what's in store for you?
Yeah, I see having more time to go sell more because I'm streamlining as much as I'm getting a fulfillment company.
Mm,
Um, I'm working with one, let's put it that way, to pack all my stock it there, pack everything, ship it out on my behalf because it'll help me be more proactive in the sales process and also with
mm,
the industrial and safety supplies with the weight plates. And then I'm also kind of looking at another business that we want to try,
mm.
and actually juices.
Oh,
So it's there's something that we can private label and they make it locally down here and they make a lot of different recipes. So I'm looking at e-commerce platform on that as well. And they do the
well,
fulfillment for us.
if you're like any other entrepreneur, and certainly like me, I always have 20 ideas that I want to pursue by the end of the day. And by the end of the day, I've decided that 19 or 20 of them are bad ideas. But every so often, I'll have that one idea that's just a great one that you continue to pursue, expand, get additional diversity, and have a fun time at it. So it sounds like a
Yeah.
great path towards the future, and one that will hopefully be successful. Well, as we've now kind of gone through your journey, I always have two questions I ask at the end of each journey. So we'll jump to those now. So the first question I always ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made, and what did you learn from it?
um, Probably expecting that I was going to make money. No, I mean right away. Put it that way, right
Mm,
away. I think you get into these businesses and assuming that okay, this is what it costs, this is what I'm gonna sell it for. Then you forget about all the other variables involved. So the business decision wasn't much of like a one decision. It was more of all the little trial and errors along the way that you adapt to. So
mm.
I don't know. I don't think anything's a bad business decision when you think about it because you learn from it. I mean, is it bad? Yeah, maybe. If you look back, like that was stupid. But at the same time, I won't do that again. I learned from that. Now I know how to adapt differently. So
Sure. No, I think there are bad business decisions, but you can always take the opportunity to learn and become better and to grow from those decisions. So there are decisions. If you were to go and throw away $1 million, you'd probably say that was a bad idea or a bad decision, but it doesn't mean you can't learn from it or you can't grow from it. So I think that's I think I agree with you there. The other thing is, talking about, I think that we've been a bit conditioned, whether it's, watching Shark Tank or movies or television shows or other things, that everybody is an overnight success. You go, you have a great idea, you build it, you put it up on Facebook or you put it up there and it just takes off and is viral. And but what always misses, and that's why I always love to kind of talk to everybody's journeys, is there's a lot of work or a lot of journey and a lot of work and effort and experience that goes into building that overnight success that you never don't usually hear about and you don't usually see. And so I think that, that expectation that you're going to just make or be rich on day one, so to speak, is one that a lot of people get into falsely. But I think is one that, definitely to learn from, that there is that time and effort and growth that takes place for it to let a business mature.
Yeah, no, and I wanted to say one more thing on the business decision aspect.
Mm,
I think a lot of people look at a decision and don't actually see the result. They look at the decision, and it should be separate from the results. You make a bad decision, you make a good decision. The result could be good, the result could be bad, but you can't make a decision and say that was a good result after the fact. That makes sense, because I can make a bad decision and have a really good result, or vice versa. So
mm.
they're contradicting themselves, and you need to separate those a little bit sometimes too, because if I fire somebody, it could be the best decision at the time, but later the result could be bad. So we got to separate those and just make a decision. The results come.
No, I completely agree. So now, as we jump to the second question, which is, if you're talking to somebody that's, and it maybe overlaps a little bit with what we just discussed, but we'll hit on it anyway. If you're talking to somebody that is just getting into a startup or small business, what'd be the one piece of advice you'd give them?
I think managing your own expectations.
Mm,
I wouldn't, we all want to manage our customers' expectations, but we forget about us. Well, when I get into a business, I know there's going to be a lot of hurdles. I know there's going to be an issue. So when those issues do come, you remember, oh yeah, that's what I expected. Instead of getting frustrated, stressed out about it, you work through it, because it has to happen. There's going to be frustrations. There's going to be things that don't go right. And
mm,
for the rest of your life, there's going to be things that don't go right. So if you can expect the unexpected, you probably
mm.
can handle those a little better. And that's about it. Nothing's going to go right all the time.
Now, I've never quite figured out how to expect the unexpected, or at least I don't know what the unexpected is. So I think it's expect that things are going to not be or turn out how you had, or you don't know what the unexpected is, but
Yeah.
something unexpected will happen. But having kind of that grit and determination and understanding, hey, everything's not going to go just exactly how I thought about or how I planned. I might as well expect that and be willing to navigate and to pivot and to adjust according to it, I think is a great piece of advice.
Well, it
Well,
sounds good.
as
That's why you're doing the interviewing, because you can make it and tweak my words into a nice way of saying it.
That's right. I get the easy job. So, well, as we wrap up, if people want to reach out to you, they want to find out more, they want to be a customer, they want to be an investor, they want to be, an employee, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out and find out more?
I mean, you can go to my LinkedIn, which is Brian Fleck, Fleck,
Mm,
like a spot in the world. And then you can find me. You're going to find me under KTROX, so letter K dash TROX, or you can
mm.
type in "wait it out," like a weight plate, WEIGHT it out.us or .com. But otherwise, we can probably put some contact info on this, right? And just say,
Absolutely. I
talk to
think
this
no, I
guy.
think that's a great way to for people to reach out to you, and definitely encourage people to, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on the website or anything else, check you out, be a supporter, find out more, and definitely do your job or do the participate in helping you to grow the business. Well, as we
Definitely.
wrap up, first of all, thank you for coming on. Now, for
Thank
all
you.
of you that are listeners, if you have your own journey to tell, feel free to go to inventiveguest.com, apply to be on the podcast. Love to hear your journeys. If you're a listener, also do a couple additional things. One, if you click subscribe on your podcast listener so you get notifications as all these awesome episodes come out. And two, leave us a review so other people can find out about the podcast as well. Last but not least, if you ever need help with your patents or trademarks, feel free to go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Thank you again, Brian. It's been fun to have you on. It's been a pleasure, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you so much, Devin. I appreciate all your time, and thank you.